Yeah, a lot of this is just a story tell,
Mm-hmm.
both your story and ours. But I will to start it off, I will say welcome to everyone that's watching. My name is Connor. I'm community manager at Fusion, and we're here in Geneva at Fusion's headquarters, and I'm joined by Gianluca from Indigo.ai. So, maybe it would be best if you just started by telling me a little bit about yourself, where you started, and what kind of brought you then to starting Indigo.
Okay. So first of all, nice to meet you, and I'm really happy to be here. My journey started about 3 years ago because I was a student in Polytechnic University of Milan. So I was really a little guy trying to approach the world. And then I had this problem with my university because I really want to have some question for an exam, but the office of the university was closed. So I was thinking why I can't ask anything anytime to my university. And so the idea came up this way. So we tried to, with one of my colleagues that eventually he became co-founder of Indigo, we try to think about the ways in which we can try to help the office of university in order to deal with students just talking, because it's the easy thing that we can do. So we started we were playing at the beginning, but our idea came up to be really good because we were selected in the first accelerator that is in Venice. So we moved all together to that place. We were 5 co-founders at the beginning, and first we were friends. So it was really a beautiful time to be there. So we were in Venice. We spent 8 months there, and it was really cool because we built the first stuff of our product, the first technology. And then we needed to try to sell it in order to validate the product and to see if the features were good or not. So we moved to Milan again in order to start selling, and we were able to close our first contract with Bayer, the pharmaceutical company. Talking about the product, right now we have built so far this kind of natural language processing framework in which you can find a lot of mathematical models that has only one goal. The goal is to process language, so to understand any sentence in an automated way in order to help businesses give answers in an automated way. So there are no people involved. Our machine is able to understand the sentence in order to extract the intent of people and entities, and we are able to deliver answers in charge of this business.
So I wanted to ask then, it's interesting to hear that you started it at university and almost to work with the universities, but then one of the first big customers you have is in pharmaceuticals. I mean, starting from then and even to now, I think that chatbots and artificial intelligence, it can kind of apply to lots and lots of different industries. Everyone needs customer service, being able to interact with the customers. What have you seen as the industries that have really been most receptive to it, or most willing to get their hands dirty or hands-on with chatbots?
I think it's not depending on industries because in our case, it's a language technology. So anytime there is the need of a business to ease the communication with people, our technology can be applied. Okay. So I know that it's something that can be really scaring for some people because, come on, my business is talking and there are no people involved. And even the fact that this is really an innovative technology, there are no industries that are the main target for our business. But the fact is that you need to find the right person that is really able to understand your technology in order to maybe take some risk, okay? But that is willing to experiment its solution with you in order to help it to improve the service that the business is offering to their customers.
So the customer themselves has to be innovative and open to trying new ideas.
Yeah, for sure. In our case, for sure, talking about this technology, it's required. But we are dealing with many industries, for instance, pharmaceutical, banking, insurance, fashion, retail. So we have seen a lot of stuff, and I think that the most important thing is to find the right person inside the company.
So what are the kind of biggest worries that they have then? Is it that, I mean, I would assume that for some of them, it's that so much of their business is face to face, and there's a lot of this human trust. I mean, what are some of the biggest worries or the biggest obstacles you have in convincing people that chatbots are actually the way to go for a lot of business processes?
Okay, there are two ways.
Is there a lot, or?
I think that there are mainly two ways. The first stuff is to understand that the first time that you talk with someone, most of the time he thinks that you are dealing with black magic. It's like, it's not possible that there is something that is answering me automatically, okay? So the first meeting, it's always like about education, because we need to convince people that this is a technology that is able to do this stuff. The second one is in order to deliver the main feature of your service. And there are two ways in order to convince the right people, I think, inside the companies. Then this reason can be, the first one, our technology can save you money, because we can deal a lot of communication with your clients really without involving your people. So if we process maybe 80% of your conversation, you can ask to your employee to only deal with the other 20%, but in a better way, because they can have more time, they can have more quality in their answer. The second way is to see our technology like a way to improve sales. For instance, we can automate conversation when someone came on your website, okay? So we can engage this person in order to convince this person to buy something, okay? So we can engage and we can communicate really in an automated way. And this is another driver that is really, really good in order to convince our customers.
So a couple questions there. With the 20% then, do you mean then that someone would essentially go through a bit of a funnel where they're talking with a chatbot, kind of validating certain things, some not, and then they get to a certain point where then they need human help? And is that kind of how it works then, where they get to a potential customer gets to a highly specialized spot, and that's when a human takes over from the chatbot?
Most of the time we are able, any natural language processing framework is able to process, of course, the most simple questions, okay? Because you need to have your knowledge base in order to train the chatbot and the machine. So when someone asks something that is inside the knowledge base, the chatbot can help and provide answer. Of course, our technology has machine learning, so the more sentence as in input, the more clever the technology became. So the fact is that, of course, the more interaction you have, the more the knowledge base is bigger, because the machine is learning over time. But sometimes it can happen that someone asks for something that is outside the knowledge base. In that case, the chatbot can do two things. The first one is to say, okay, I don't know how to help, but I can
refer you to someone?
Yes, I can refer you to someone sometime. So the chatbot stops, and someone else, a person, come inside the chat. The other stuff is to say, okay, I can't help right now, but for sure I will learn. So be patient, because I'm a chatbot.
So speaking to that cleverness that you're talking about in AI as well, I'm wondering what you have to say about the real personality behind certain chatbots and AI, and how far that's kind of come. Because I mean, a couple of years ago, it was quite different to the kind of landscape there is today. And I mean, do you see chatbots now at a stage where it's very difficult to actually, for someone to tell if I'm chatting with a chatbot, to know if it's a human or not? And I mean, what have you seen in terms of the progression then of going from a very clunky chatbots to what kind of stuff that Indigo has?
Yes, it depends, of course, on how people want to interact with you. If they want only to have maybe an answer, if they need to get to some point of an information for any business, they don't care if you're a human or you're a chatbot. Right now in the chatbot landscape, I think that we are seeing an improvement, because at the beginning in 2016, when everything started, in my opinion, when Facebook started to announce the possibility to have chatbots inside Messenger, in that year we saw an explosion of talks about chatbots. At the end of 2017 and the beginning of this year, it was really the lowest point ever, because there was this It was a disillusionment about the technology. And right now I see that we are improving. There are a lot of requests, for instance, right now, and they are increasing over time. So we are really happy about that. But I don't think that for businesses it's important if people can perceive if your technology is a human or not. And also it depends on their target, on their mission. If they want to engage people, it's important to have a character inside the bot, that it's really defined, that it's really important. So the fact is that there is a lot of effort for us about copywriting, about giving the right personality. And at that stage, it's important that people perceive you like a human being, okay? But it's really important that you are not pretending, okay? At the beginning, every time we say, at the beginning of every chat, we always say, my name is X, okay, I don't know, and I'm a chatbot. And it's really important to say.
I wanted to ask because, is it better, I was just going to follow with that and say, is it better for a chatbot to really keep it hidden and not reveal that kind of thing? Or I am a chatbot, this is a developed personality, is it better to kind of keep it under the rug or like Olga in her ghost costume and you don't know? Or is it better to, reveal it and say that?
It's always better to reveal it, and we test it, okay? And really people can get really annoyed by the fact that they only at the end discover, when the chatbot can't help, that it's a chatbot and not a person. If you tell that your system is a chatbot, also people get in the right mindset. So they know that the chatbot can help only to a certain point, because of course it needs to be educated.
It helps to set expectations.
Yes.
Yeah, about the
it's
conversation.
Really important.
So I'm curious as well, going back to what you said about the Facebook integrations. I mean, is that how you see a majority of your customers starting to use this almost as a test? Or, I mean, what are the real concrete use cases that you see people using it for? Are most people then looking to use it on Facebook just so it's a way to chat with customers very easily, or are they then trying to build it directly into their customer service management? Or are integrations like Facebook a big deal?
Yeah, of course, our technology is really independent from any channel. So for instance, we build a brain, and this brain can be connected to any messaging app, okay? And any messaging app that has open API. And this is really important. And so the main requests for us are Facebook from one side, and the other messaging app are not so common, at least for what we have seen since the day one. But we are delivering, and we have already built this kind of new web interface that it's like a messaging app that is on web. So businesses are really interested also in using this stuff that we have built, because there is no login is required, and they can be more inclusive. Because, for instance, if you're a bank, it's not good that you can offer a service only to people that have Facebook or not. Right. So they are also asking for us a lot about this new technology.
So looking forward then, what do you see as kind of the real challenges, not only for you, but AI and chatbot adoption in the future? What are you excited for? What do you kind of see as what's going to be obstacles or any of that?
I'm really excited about the fact that right now we are not only for our customers, but worldwide, also for other providers of chatbot. It's really important that we are seeing the results of the work in the last 2 years. And this is really important, because at the beginning everyone was willing to do chatbot because it was cool, not because there was a reason. So in 2017, and this is the main reason of the disillusionment that I was saying you before, is that there were a lot of use cases, most of them were pointless, okay? So if someone see a use case that is pointless, he thinks, okay, so chatbots are useless. And this is not true. The reason is that the use case was designed bad. So a lot of them came to an end, because of course they were useless. And right now we are seeing the first results that has an impact on businesses in this period. So this is really important in order to improve all of our industry, talking about chatbot.
I feel like it applies to, it has very much to do with the human psyche, I feel, about adopting technology as well, because I think you start to see similar things with the Internet of Things a few years ago and blockchain now, where there's this, once there's enough awareness, I feel like there's an enormous sense of what could be done with the technology, and that it's very hyped up. And then there's this bit of deflated expectations as then people move on to something else. But then there's this, what they call the plateau of productivity, where then actually it's still around, and then companies actually start to build, and then that's when we really start to see these real use cases come through.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time we have for now. We might steal you for another interview, but thank you for joining, and thank you for taking the time, and thank you for watching.
Bye.